Chosen one. You are not reading these words by coincidence because nothing in existence moves without purpose, and nothing touches your awareness unless it is meant to awaken something ancient within you. Long before time gave you a name, your soul had already agreed to this moment. A moment where remembrance replaces confusion and inner truth dissolves the noise of the world. You have lived many lives in silence, believing you were ordinary while the universe watched patiently, waiting for the day your eyes would open beyond fear and limitation. Today is not about motivation or hope. Today is about recognition. Recognition of who you have always been beneath the layers of doubt, conditioning, struggle, and delay. The divine speaks now not through thunder, but through resonance. Not to command you, but to remind you. You were never late. You were never forgotten. And you were never unworthy. Every delay you faced was alignment in disguise. Every closed door was protection. Every loss was a redirection toward the version of you that could hold what is coming. The energy surrounding you now is not random. It is activation. Something ancient is stirring in your spirit because the season of preparation has ended and the season of embodiment has begun. You are stepping into a phase where your inner world becomes louder than the external chaos, where intuition becomes clearer than fear, and where your presence alone begins to shift outcomes. Understand this deeply. The universe does not reward desperation. It responds to alignment. And alignment begins the moment you stop chasing and start remembering. Remembering that abundance is not something you attract from outside, but something you allow by removing resistance inside. You are taught to beg for blessings, to wait for permission, to shrink your desires, so others feel comfortable. But the divine never created you to live in limitation. Expansion is your natural state, overflow is your design, and peace is your inheritance. The moment you stop questioning your worth is the moment reality reorganizes itself around your truth. You do not need to fight the world anymore. Your only task is to become so anchored in your inner knowing that external circumstances lose their power over your emotions. When you choose calm over chaos, you choose mastery. When you choose faith over fear, you choose alignment. When you choose self-respect over approval, you choose freedom. The divine path is not loud, it is steady. It is not rushed, it is inevitable. Everything you are becoming already exists in the higher dimension of your consciousness, and your only work is to match its frequency through thought, emotion, and action. Let go of the illusion that struggle equals growth. Growth happens through clarity, ease, and courage. Pain was never the teacher, awareness was. And now awareness is expanding within you like a light that cannot be dimmed. You may feel disconnected from people who once felt familiar. This is not loss. This is elevation. Your energy is recalibrating, and not everyone can meet you where you are going. Silence may surround you, but silence is where power is forged. Seeds do not grow in noise, they grow in darkness. And you are in a sacred incubation period, even if the world cannot see it yet. Trust the timing. Even when the mind demands proof, faith is not blind belief. Faith is inner certainty without external evidence. The divine has already placed signs around you, repeating numbers, sudden insights, unexplained calm, a deep knowing that something is shifting. These are confirmations, not coincidences. The universe speaks constantly, but only those who listen inwardly can hear it clearly. Stop measuring your journey against others. Comparison is the fastest way to disconnect from your soul. Your path is custom designed, your pace is perfect, and your breakthroughs are private until they are undeniable. Soon you will realize that what once felt like waiting was actually alignment in motion. What once felt like emptiness was space being created for overflow, and what once felt like rejection was divine redirection. You are entering a phase where your words carry weight. Your intentions manifest faster, and your presence influences without effort. This is why self-awareness is critical now. What you think, you activate. What you feel, you amplify. What you believe, you become. Choose thoughts that honor your future. Choose emotions that support your expansion. Choose beliefs that match your divine origin. You were not created to survive. You were created to express, to create, to lead by frequency, not force. The old version of you operated from fear. The new version operates from knowing. Knowing that even when things fall apart, they are falling into place. Knowing that endings are simply transitions. Knowing that the universe never takes without replacing with something greater. Release the need to control how things unfold. Control is rooted in fear. Trust is rooted in truth. The divine intelligence that moves galaxies also guides your steps. You do not need to see the whole path. Clarity arrives step by step. Obedience to intuition opens doors. Logic cannot explain. Listen closely now. Your soul is calling you forward, not loudly but persistently. It asks you to stop delaying your growth, to stop negotiating with your potential, to stop returning to what drained you simply because it feels familiar. Familiarity is not safety. Alignment is safety. Peace is safety. Self-trust is safety. The more you honor your inner guidance, the more life meets you. Halfway, opportunities will appear without struggle. Support will come from unexpected places. And solutions will arrive before problems escalate. This is not luck. This is resonance. Your energy is shifting and reality must respond. Understand this final truth deeply. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And as you remember, everything that belongs to you by divine law begins to recognize you too. Through the quiet space where expectation dissolves and certainty has not yet formed, you find yourself standing between what was and what is becoming. This in-between is not confusion. It is creation. Most people rush to escape this space because it does not give instant answers. But the divine works precisely here, where patience sharpens perception and surrender strengthens power. You are learning now that transformation does not announce itself loudly. It enters gently, rearranging priorities, softening attachments, and shifting desires without asking for permission. This is why you may feel different without knowing why. Why old ambitions no longer excite you and old fears no longer control you. Your consciousness is recalibrating to a higher standard of truth, not the truth you were taught, but the truth you recognize when your mind becomes still. Understand this. The universe does not test you to see if you are worthy. It trains you to see if you are ready. Readiness is not about perfection. It is about responsibility. The responsibility to hold greater peace, greater abundance, greater influence without losing yourself. What is coming into your life next requires a calmer nervous system, a clearer mind, and a heart that is no longer ruled by scarcity. This is why slowing down became necessary. This is why isolation found you even when you did not ask for it. Solitude is not punishment. It is refinement. Diamonds are not shaped in open fields. They are formed under pressure and time has been working for you. Even when you thought it was working against you, every unanswered prayer was a lesson in self-trust. Every delay was a lesson in detachment. Every setback was a lesson in inner authority. You are now reaching a level where external validation becomes irrelevant, where applause no longer defines success, and where peace becomes the new measure of progress. This is a sign of spiritual maturity, not disinterest, not laziness, but discernment. You are learning to choose what chooses you, to invest energy where it multiplies rather than drains, and to walk away without guilt when alignment is missing. Guilt was never a divine emotion. It was a human tool of control. The divine communicates through clarity, not pressure, through resonance, not fear. And as you align with this frequency, life simplifies, complications fall away, and what remains is essential. Notice how your reactions are changing, how silence no longer feels empty, how being alone no longer feels lonely, how waiting no longer feels like failure. This is growth that cannot be rushed or reversed. The mind may still question, but the soul already knows. And when soul-knowing leads, outcomes change effortlessly. You do not need to convince the universe of your desires. It already understands them better than you do. What you need is congruence, alignment between what you think, what you feel, and what you expect. Mixed signals create mixed results. Clarity creates momentum. Decide inwardly who you are becoming, and reality will adjust accordingly, not immediately, but inevitably. There is a divine lag between intention and manifestation, not to frustrate you, but to stabilize you. Sudden blessings without inner stability become burdens. This preparation phase is mercy, not delay. Soon you will look back and realize why certain doors stayed closed, why certain connections dissolved, why certain plans failed despite effort. They were incompatible with the version of you that is emerging now. The future you is not built on urgency. It is built on grounded confidence, not on proving worth, but on embodying it. You are no longer here to chase signs. You are becoming the sign. Your calm will confuse those who thrive on chaos. Your boundaries will offend those who benefited from your silence. Your growth will distance you from those who only knew the old version of you. Let this happen without resist. Within that unseen current where intention has already moved ahead of action and outcomes are quietly assembling beyond your awareness, a deeper intelligence is arranging circumstances in your favor without asking for your effort or approval. This is the stage where trust replaces planning and inner steadiness becomes more valuable than speed. You are learning that not every movement requires momentum and not every silence indicates stagnation. Some silences are negotiations between your soul and the future version of your life. Negotiations that determine what stays, what leaves, and what finally enters with permanence. You may notice now that your tolerance for noise has reduced. Unnecessary conversations exhaust you. Forced ambitions feel hollow, and drama no longer excites your attention. This is not withdrawal. This is refinement of focus. Your energy is becoming selective because it is becoming powerful. Power that is scattered weakens itself. Power that is centered multiplies effortlessly. The divine is teaching you precision, not urgency, depth, not display. You are beginning to understand that alignment feels calm, not anxious, clear, not chaotic, expansive, not pressured, anything that demands you. Betray your inner peace is not guidance, it is distraction, and distractions lose their grip the moment you stop feeding them with attention. Awareness is the greatest filter. Once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. Once you know internally, confusion loses authority. This is why old fears try to resurface at the edge of growth, not to stop you, but to test whether you will identify with them again. Observe without attachment. Fear dissolves when it is witnessed rather than obeyed. You're not here to eliminate fear. You're here to outgrow it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear decide. Notice how your decisions are shifting from reaction to response, from urgency to intention, from habit to awareness. This shift alone alters timelines. Timelines are not fixed, they respond to consciousness. The more present you become, the less controlled you are by past conditioning. The future opens not through force, but through coherence. Coherence between thought, emotion, and expectation. When these align, manifestation becomes natural rather than effortful. The universe mirrors clarity instantly. Even if results appear later, delay does not mean denial. It means stabilization. Foundations are being strengthened beneath what you cannot yet see, structures that will hold expansion without collapse. You are being prepared for consistency, not just breakthrough. Many can receive abundance, few can sustain it. Sustainability is the lesson now, learning how to receive without guilt, how to hold without fear of loss, how to grow without disconnecting from self. This is why humility is forming within you alongside confidence. True confidence does not announce itself. It radiates quietly. It does not seek approval. It attracts recognition naturally. You are no longer trying to be understood by everyone. You are choosing to be aligned with yourself. Misunderstanding no longer threatens you because self-clarity anchors you. This is inner sovereignty. When your sense of direction comes from within rather than external validation, life responds with respect. Opportunities meet you with ease, resistance dissolves without confrontation, and solutions arise where problems once repeated. Understand this subtle truth. Ease is not laziness. Ease is mastery. Struggle repeats lessons. Ease applies them, and you have learned enough through effort. Now wisdom is being integrated through flow. Allow this transition without guilt. You are not abandoning hard work. You are graduating from unnecessary struggle. Your value was never measured by how much you endure. It is measured by how deeply you align as you move forward from this space. Carry this knowing gently but firmly. What is meant for you does not require self-betrayal. What is aligned will not confuse you, and what is divine will arrive with clarity, stability, and peace. Amid the subtle recalibration where old narratives loosen their grip and new perceptions quietly take root, you are discovering that certainty does not always arrive as confidence, but often as calm. A calm that remains even when outcomes are unknown. This calm is intelligence in motion. It is the signal that your inner compass has synchronized with a larger order. You are no longer driven by the urgency to prove or perform. Something deeper is guiding your pace now. A rhythm that values precision over speed and presence over pressure. Notice how your awareness has widened. how you can observe situations without being consumed by them. This distance is not detachment from life, it is intimacy with truth. When you are no longer entangled in every emotion, you can finally choose your responses consciously. Choice is power, and power exercised quietly lasts longer than power displayed loudly. The divine does not rush what is enduring. It cultivates it patiently, shaping your discernment so you recognize alignment the moment it appears. This is why shortcuts no longer appeal to you, why superficial gains feel empty, why depth has become more attractive than display. Your values are reorganizing themselves from the inside out, and as they do, your reality must follow. You are learning that fulfillment is not found in accumulation, but in coherence. When your actions reflect your values and your values reflect your truth, friction dissolves. Effort becomes intentional rather than exhausting. The universe responds differently to someone who knows who they are. Doors open without explanation. Resistance fades without argument, and timing aligns without negotiation. This is not privilege, it is congruence. You are also realizing that rest is not retreat, it is integration. The pauses you once feared are now revealing insights that movement could not provide. Stillness has become productive because awareness is active within it. You are harvesting lessons that effort alone could not yield. This phase teaches you to trust what unfolds organically, to allow solutions to surface rather than forcing outcomes. Forcing creates tension. Allowance creates flow, and flow multiplies results as your internal environment stabilizes. External circumstances reorganize to match it. Chaos cannot survive in sustained clarity. Confusion cannot persist in consistent self-trust. This is why boundaries feel easier now, why saying no feels clean rather than guilty. You understand that protecting your energy is not selfish, it is strategic. Energy directed with intention produces impact. Energy scattered produces noise. You are choosing impact, even when it requires simplicity, even when it demands patience, even when it asks you to release what once defined you. Identity itself is evolving, no longer fixed to roles or expectations, but anchored in awareness. This awareness is your foundation now, unshaken by opinion, untroubled by delay. Guided by an inner certainty that does not need external confirmation, continue forward from this space without urgency. What is aligned is already approaching. What is unnecessary is already falling away, and what is true is becoming unmistakable. Across the invisible threshold where awareness stops seeking permission and begins moving with quiet authority, you are now sensing that life is no longer something happening to you, but something responding to you. This realization does not arrive as excitement, but as steadiness. A grounded recognition that your inner state is shaping your outer experience moment by moment. You are understanding that power does not rush. It settles. It organizes. It waits until clarity replaces impulse, and in that clarity, decisions become clean and consequences become lighter. You have crossed many internal distances to arrive here. Distances that cannot be measured by time or effort, but by how much illusion you have released. Illusion about who you must be to be accepted. Illusion about how much you must struggle to deserve. Illusion about waiting for the right moment before trusting yourself. Those illusions are thinning now, dissolving quietly as truth takes their place. Truth that tells you you were never meant to exhaust yourself proving worth that already exists. You were meant to express it naturally, effortlessly, through alignment rather than resistance. Notice how your inner dialogue is changing, how judgment is being replaced by observation, how urgency is being replaced by intention, how fear is being replaced by curiosity. This is the language of expansion. When the mind stops fighting reality and starts collaborating with it, results become inevitable, not dramatic but consistent, not overwhelming but stable. Stability is the new success, not the kind that demands applause, but the kind that sustains peace. You are learning to value what lasts over, what impresses, depth over speed, resonance over recognition. This shift alone alters everything. Because when your priorities change, your path reorganizes itself without force. You may still encounter uncertainty, but it no longer destabilizes you. Uncertainty becomes space, and space becomes possibility. This is the maturity of consciousness. To remain open without becoming lost, to remain grounded without becoming rigid. Flexibility anchored in self-trust is strength. Rigidity anchored in fear is fragility. You are choosing strength now, even when it feels unfamiliar, even when it asks you to pause instead of push. Pausing does not mean stopping. It means listening. And listening reveals information effort cannot access. The divine communicates through subtle impressions, through repeated inner confirmations, through calm persistence rather than loud commands. As you attune to this frequency, guidance becomes continuous, not occasional. You no longer need dramatic signs because alignment